Kaito-san!
Fuck you! I know I'm fashionably late on the topic as always, but let's talk a bit about E3 2017, or Electronic Entertainment Expo, that is one of the biggest highlights of the year for video game fans. We can see some small glimpses on what we can expect in the near and not so near future in terms of video games and video game related tech. In other words, it's one big hype machine, and the speculations of the games featured at E3 always run wild right before the event. Many leaks of unannounced titles turn out to be legitimate, but at least equal amount of them turn out to be bullshit. For example, I know many of the viewers of this channel were hoping for Bloodborne sequel to be announced during Sony conference, due to all the rumors and fake leaks, but it turned out From Software didn't even attend E3 this year. I was personally more excited to hear about their new IPs, since Bloodborne sequel made by From Software at this point would have been quite impossible task for the team, knowing that they are already working on new IPs, and Bloodborne came out only 2 years ago and Dark Souls 3 year after that, and the director Hidetaka Miyazaki also stating very clearly that From Software isn't planning continuation for Dark Souls or Bloodborne at the moment, so only possibility for Bloodborne 2 to be announced now would have been because Sony would have been working on it independently. Don't get me wrong, I love that game, but simple upgrade to 60 FPS would make me buy that game again, no sequel needed. I understand that games are not made in a day, and I'm willing to wait as long as it takes for From Software to come out with a new, complete and hopefully amazing original IP. But I must admit that From Software's absence from E3 left me thirsty, and I hope they give us a little sneak peek on something in some other upcoming gaming event this year. Okay, so no new From Software game, but how did the rest of the E3 fare this year? To me personally, this was the lamest E3 year in recent history in terms of games that were announced. I was able to pick a handful of titles that piqued my interest this year, and I will be sharing them soon, but overall this year's E3 was surprisingly dry for me. Usually I have the problem of too many games, too many awesome games, how can I afford all of this? But it seems that's not going to be a problem this time. We get to see a lot of VR stuff, which I personally don't give a shit about, since it seems like something that works for virtual dating and porn better than it does on video games at the moment, and of course couple of billion versions of Skyrim coming out. Look, Bethesda, we know that Skyrim is a good game, but it came out almost 6 years ago. Think of Skyrim like pizza. When it was freshly delivered, hot and greasy cheese was melting on top of it, it was great. Even after being one day in the fridge and it was all cold, it's still surprisingly good. But after being on the back of the fridge for 6 years, it's time to order a new one. It's fucking disgusting! I can appreciate some old games being remade, but doing it this many times makes me puke if I have to hear the goddamn Dragonborn song start up once more. And I actually like Skyrim, and I would be so excited to see Elder Scrolls 6 or hell some totally new IP even. But it's never going to happen if you're just seeing a new port or remaster or VR version of Skyrim every year. Enough bitching, let me just list the games that I'm actually excited about that were revealed at E3 2017 conferences or around the time of E3. Please keep in mind that I didn't list titles like Metro Exodus, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, or Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus, for example, since all of these are sequels to games I haven't had the chance to play yet. I also left out games that I have seen announced in the past E3s before, like Cuphead, Ashen, Call of Cthulhu, or God of War. A Way Out is a Prison Break split-screen co-op game that you can only play with another player either online or with a friend with 2 controllers. Why this game piqued my interest was because it comes from the creators of Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, a game which I freaking love, that made you play with 2 main characters simultaneously using 1 controller. That game was really creative and unique experience, so I'm really excited to see if they will be able to recreate the magic of teamwork that Brothers had in A Way Out. And the prison setting is guaranteed to provide some intense moments to share with a friend.
We need a light. Screw it!
I'll go first. Oh, crap! You okay?
The Last Night is a side-scrolling cyberpunk game with absolutely gorgeous art style. It's colorful and dark at the same time, reminding me a lot of movies like Blade Runner, and I think one of the developers mentioned Oddworld games as one of his inspirations, so that's really exciting for me. In terms of gameplay, it's hard to say how the game plays yet, but based on aesthetic alone, I'm excited for this title. There's a bit of a controversy surrounding this game already, and I'm not going to go further into it, but for me, what matters about video games is the game itself, and hopefully this one will be great. I'm not a fan of Dragon Ball, but I actually have something positive to say about Dragon Ball this time. As was rumored, Dragon Ball FighterZ was announced at E3, and oh boy does it look fucking amazing. But it's still a Dragon Ball game, so why would I be excited? Because it's developed by Arc System Works. If you're not familiar who these guys are, they are the same developers that brought us titles like Blaze Blue, Persona 4 Arena, and most of all, Guilty fucking Gear. While I'm not a fan of Dragon Ball or 3v3 set fighting games, if there's one developer that can pull this off, it's Arc System Works. They create anime fighting games that not only look like they should, but also play like they should. And I'm so happy for every Dragon Ball fan out there that Arc System Works has decided to work on this game. Code Vein has been buzzed about for a little while now for being Vampire Souls or Reap Souls, and based on the gameplay trailer, the game does seem to share some similarities with Dark Souls style combat. I'm not fully sold on this game yet, since Souls games are not only about the combat for me, it's also about the aesthetic, the level designs, the innovative online features, and the RPG elements. So if Code Vein wants to play in the same ring with Souls games, it still has a lot to show me before I'm convinced. But so far, it at least looks more interesting than some other games that try the so-called Souls-like formula, like The Surge for example, and that's all I can say about it for now. It has been too long since I played a Monster Hunter game. Actually, I think the last one I touched was Monster Hunter Freedom Unite on PSP, which was actually damn great. Monster Hunter World got announced and it is also coming to PC, so this is the time for me to hop back into monster hunting. They're making some changes to the traditional Monster Hunter formula by making it more open world based and adding a drop-in multiplayer feature as well. As long as the same thrill of hunting all these different giant beasts stays the same from the previous titles, I'm sold. I wasn't too familiar with the Far Cry series before I got a free copy of Far Cry 4 when I bought my PS4, and everything achieved for free tastes double as good, right? No, but seriously, I enjoyed Far Cry 4 a lot, and actually nearly 100%ed that game if I remember correctly. It was a good game to turn on every now and then to conquer some bases, shoot people in the face with a shotgun from a moving car and explore the beautiful views. I haven't had a chance to play Far Cry Primal that they actually managed to release between Far Cry 4 and Far Cry 5, but based on the E3 trailer, Far Cry 5 will offer me action movie-esque mayhem I liked so much in Far Cry 4. I also heard they got rid of the towers. I'm not sure if this game got announced in E3, but it just happened to surface while the expo was going on. I don't know where it came from, but it looks really cool, so I wanted to give it a little shout out. Blasphemous is actually a Kickstarter project that has already been successfully funded. The game is described to be non-linear action RPG platformer, and the art style is high quality pixel art with dark fantasy setting. There was a time about 2 years ago when I was sick of seeing pixel art platformers due to the sheer amount of them popping up in Steam. But enough time has passed and I'm actually really excited for this little surprise title. I know I criticized Bethesda in the beginning of this video for releasing Skyrim a million times, and now it's time for me to eat my own shit a bit, because A Shadow of the Colossus is getting re-released again. And it looks fucking amazing, and this is a game I'm actually really excited to see re-released with updated visual detail. I hope they also refine the gameplay a bit as well, but even if they wouldn't, I'm damn excited for this one. So, those were my most anticipated titles announced during E3 2017. And as I said, it wasn't quite as hype of a year as a couple of the previous ones for me personally. Of course there were a couple of potential titles like Days Gone, even though I'm sick of zombie games, Beyond Good and Evil 2, even though I hate that obnoxious fucking monkey, Anthem, even though it reminds me of Destiny, and hey, Super Mario Odyssey actually looked really creative. But yeah, that's it for my picks. Let me know what upcoming games you are most excited for. I would love to hear if I missed some potential titles. Take care.